What's poppin', y'all? Welcome back to another episode of the Orlando Magic Rebuild. This is the NBA Finals. As you see on the screen right now, we are going to be going up against the Memphis Grizzlies after they just swept in the Western Conference Finals. The Phoenix Suns, 4-0 swept them. On the opposite side, we won 7 games. A hard-fought 7 games against the Atlanta Hawks. We were down 3-2 with our back against the wall and crawled all the way back to win it 4-3 in 7 games. And now, like I said, we're up against the Memphis Grizzlies in the NBA Finals. At first, I was just going through the finals. I was just going through the playoffs with the Magic, and I was just going as it goes. You know what I mean? Taking it one round at a time. But when I kind of saw the stars aligned, I told myself, we really got to go for it. We really have to go for gold, and we really have to take full advantage of the opportunity. And where that light and light bulb went off in my head was when the Brooklyn Nets and the Milwaukee Bucks had to play against each other. So I knew one of the top dogs and toughest teams to beat was going to be out. It was going to make our chances even higher because one of those teams we weren't going to have to face. And as we see right here, the Milwaukee Bucks beat them. So that made me feel like we can even have a better chance, because if I had to pick one of those teams to eventually play, I would much rather play the Bucks than to play the Nets against Kyrie, Harden, and KD. And then the Hawks took out the Bucks in 5 games, which made me say, man, the Hawks must be a really good team, but at least we don't have to play against the Bucks or the Nets. And then, when I started to play in the Eastern Conference Finals against the Hawks, I realized that, man, the Hawks are the real deal. Trae Young is tough, and they're a tough team. But we had some ways, to compete against them, and we shown that we can play with them. And obviously, we ended up on top. And now we're in a situation where, like I said, stars have aligned to where even in these finals, the Grizzlies obviously are good because they made it this far. Ja Morant was an MVP candidate during this year. He didn't win, but he was a candidate, so they are there to take serious. But when you look at the stars aligning out west, Phoenix upset Golden State, who were the number 1 seed in a 7-game series. Even down here, the Denver Nuggets stopped the 2 seed in a 6-game series. And then the Grizzlies, like us, took advantage. You know what I mean? We were a 5th seed. They were a 3rd seed. They beat the team that they were better than in the first round, which was the Kings. And then the Denver Nuggets played better than expected, beat the number 2 seed. And all Memphis did was beat teams that they were better than throughout the playoffs. And it's kind of the same thing here, where the Boston Celtics were the number 1 seed by like a couple of games or a game. And they went 7 with the Wizards, and it made us say, man, if they went 7 with the Wizards, which is a team that we dominated, we know we can play with them. And then we ended up sweeping them, took care of business in the first round against the Raptors, who we were much better than all season. And then ultimately, we took care of business against the Hawks, and now it's us against the Magic, us against the Grizzlies, 2 teams that basically took advantage of situations. As you can see, the Lakers aren't in the playoffs because they had injuries. On our side, the Sixers aren't in the playoffs because they had injuries. And, the stars aligned for both teams to make it this far. And we feel like we need to win it. You know what I mean? We definitely have things we can do next year, but we need to win it and take advantage of this opportunity, because it may not come back around when teams are healthy and rolling. So I'm going to team stats for throughout the playoffs, and as you see, right at the top, it's the Grizzlies and Magic. We both have the most wins through these playoffs. Both have 12 wins, obviously. That's how we got this far. But this is why this matchup is going to be entertaining and so fun, is because when I go through some of these playoff statistics for both teams, you'll see something very funny, and we'll just do it right off top. So points per game, the most points scored throughout the playoffs, like the highest scoring team, is the Memphis Grizzlies. They average 124 points per game throughout these playoffs, which means they can put up buckets and really get going. We're right behind them at 116, which is good to see. No, I'm sorry. We're not right behind them because I didn't sort it. Let's sort it. When we sort it, they're still number 1. They scored better than the Nets, the Wizards, and they did it across 15 games. These other teams did it second and third, are 2 teams that only played one round, 7 games. So they have a longer list of games. And we're 6th. We're not that far. We're 6th. And again, we did it across 16 games. which is like I said, much more games than 7. We're doubling the amount of games that they had. But if you go to the other side, right next to points per game, which they lead in, you go to points allowed. And this is the opposite. Number 1 team in points allowed means they allow the most points. So throughout the playoffs, the Nets, who are number 1, they allowed the most points than any team in the playoffs. But if you sort it to show who allowed the least amount of points, we become number 1. And we only allowed 102 points a game throughout 16 games throughout the playoffs. And if you look at the team who's second, they give up. It's a big discrepancy. We go from 102, or basically 103, and they give up basically 112. So that's a 10-point gap and 10-point difference between points allowed, which shows you just how much of a good defensive team we are. And we are really a good defensive team, and that's what we lay our hat on. So we have in these finals the number 1 scoring team against basically the number 1 defensive team, which means we're about to have us a really good, interesting series. Point differential, we both are the top 2 teams. We are number 1 with 13.8, basically 14 points, and they are 10.4, basically 10-point differential throughout the playoffs. Field goal percentage, they're a top superior team. We're not that far. We rank top 5, but they're right up there with the Nets. Even threes. Well, none of us are the top 2 teams. We're actually right next to each other, and this is where it gets interesting. In a lot of categories, it's either we're 1 or they're 1. We're 2. We're right next to each other in a lot of different categories. Free throw percentage, I'm not sure. Okay, they're top 5 in free throw percentage. We're not. We're 10th. So that's one that I didn't know. Well, either one of us, was that right here. Offensive rebounds, 15. Basically, both 15. They're 3. We're 4. Neck and neck. Defensive rebounding, okay, we're second, which doesn't surprise me. We kind of control the glass a lot. They're 7th. And just rebounds in general, we're second, they're 4th. We average 58. They're at 55. Very close. 2 to 4 is very, very close. Assists per games, they're 3rd. They're 3rd, and we go all the way down to the 13th. So they're a lot better assist team. Steals, I don't think we're one of the top steals teams. We're actually one of the least ones, but we're right there, 15 and 14. Blocks per game, we should be, okay, we're number 1, but they're number 4. Not that far off. We 6, they average 5. You know what I mean? Like, this is a very tight series. It's going to be very, very interesting to see how it goes. Turnovers per game, we don't really turn the ball over. Neither do they. We turn the ball over 12 times. They turn it over 13 times. So it's very, very even there. Fouls per game, who cares? When we talk about now opponent field goal percentage, we're number 1. You're not, you know what I mean? We allow the least, the lowest percentage, which is 42%, but they're right there at 43. You know what I mean? Even 3-point percentage, how do we do in 3-point percentage? We are second to last, and we allow our opponents to shoot around 32% from the 3. They allow their opponents to do around 35%. Now that I know we allow 32% from 3, let's see what they shoot from 3. I forgot what they shoot from 3. We allow 32 and they shoot close to 39. Okay, they shoot 39 and we allow 32. Very interesting to see, man. Very interesting to see what direction this series is going to go. But just to show you, we're a defensive powerhouse. They're an offensive powerhouse. I think that's always an intriguing series to start off with, like, just to see the type of team. So they're going to score a bunch, and we're going to try to stop them from scoring, but we can also score a little bit too. Just to continue in the stats, I want to go to player stats, and I want to see the Grizzlies and see who's really doing what for them, so I can take y'all into the game plan before we start getting into gameplay episodes, just so y'all know what type of idea we have. So obviously, right off top, like I said, an MVP candidate, Ja Morant. I think he was 5th or 4th in the MVP voting, but nonetheless, he was there. He's averaging 25, 8 rebounds, and 13 assists throughout the playoffs. Just to put some context and some things, he averaged a triple-double in that Suns Western Conference Final sweep. Let's see his first round. Then it'll go so we can get the exact stats of what he just did against the Suns. These are the conference, which was the second round. And then conference finals, which was against the Suns. So in the conference finals, his last 4 games, he averaged 29, 12, and 13. And then the steal, only 3 turnovers to the 13 assists. Shot 46% from the field, 43% from 3, and 90%, 93%, 94% from the free throw line. Played 42 minutes as well. Played really high level basketball. Underneath him in that conference finals, Jared Allen, who they have now. I don't know if a lot of people remember, but they got Jared Allen. He gave them 8 and 13, 2 assists, a steal and a block, and he shot 68% for the field. And he shot 61%. He did that in less than 30 minutes. So he was averaging 18 and 12 in around 30 minutes, right on the head. Jaren Jackson, 17 and 7. In assists, almost 2 blocks per game, 43%, 44% for the field, and he shot 50% from 3 on 7 attempts. Good basketball. Dylan Brooks basically giving you 14, 4 and 4, and he shot 34% from the field, and he struggled from the 3-point line in this particular series. In the 4 games they played, he only shot 29%. Still not going to expect that he's going to do that against us. We're going to treat him like a shooter because his rating for shooting, and let's just see what he shot this year. These are the playoffs. Over the year, he shot 32%. He's shooting 35% in the playoffs this year. So he's solid. Nothing crazy. He's giving them 14 points, 3.5, 3 rebounds. He's playing solid. He's playing solid basketball. Brandon Clark is giving them 11 and 7, which I'm guessing he's coming off the bench because they have a front court of Allen and Jackson. And that, I believe Valanciunas is still on their team too. So yeah, they got a double-headed monster where they have Jaren Jackson and Jared Allen started. And then off the bench you get Brandon Clark and Jonas Valanciunas, who are 78 and 80 respectively, and 11 and 7 and 9 and 5. Grayson Allen is giving you 11. What is he shooting from 3? He struggled this series as well, which could help us. But yeah, I mean, those are their main suspects. They don't look like Kyle Anderson has played much. I don't know if he's injured or what. But he didn't play in this series. He hasn't played a minute in the playoffs, so maybe he is injured, or maybe just not in their rotation. Desmond Bane, he shot 33%, Melton 33% from 3. So yeah, but those are just the conference finals. If we look at the playoffs in general, their best shooter in the playoffs has been Desmond Bane. And how many minutes has he played? Has he really played? He's played 22 minutes, and he's shooting 50% from 3. He's not shooting a lot of them, only 2 a game. Jaren Jackson is almost at 50% throughout the playoffs, and he's shooting almost 8 a game. Brandon Clark is shooting 43% from 3, and he shoots 5 a game. Tyus Jones shoots about 2.5. Ja Morant shoots 7, and he's shooting above 35%, 36. Brooks is at 35. So they can really shoot it solidly. We have to really watch and guard Jaren Jackson and Brandon Clark. These are 2 floor spacing 4s who is going to make the pick and roll, pick and pop game with Ja Morant extremely difficult to guard. Kind of like the Hawks, but it seems like they're going to shoot it a lot better than Julius Randle. I almost called him John Collins, thinking about real life. But yeah, they're going to shoot it better than Julius Randle. And Jaren Jackson can block some shots. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be very, very interesting. So when we go into our game plan now, knowing that information, and we go in against the Grizzlies for 4 games, we're going to keep our same lineup, of course. And I'm not going to make a lot of changes, not throughout this first game. But yeah, we're just going to put Brogdon on him. I already got him on there. Lateral quickness. Nobody in our starting lineup is going to have the lateral quickness or the perimeter defense that Brogdon is going to have. And that's what I need right now. I tried to go the route of steals and length and putting Kuminga on Trae Young that first game in the last series, and we saw the results of that. So when I flip through and I show you guys to compare throughout our lineup, it's Malcolm Brogdon. Lateral quickness is 83. Perimeter defense is 85. Defensive consistency is 84 as well. But Where is Terry Rozier? His lateral quickness, perimeter defense, steal, and defensive consistency is nowhere near Malcolm Brogdon. He's solid for sure, but it's nowhere near Malcolm Brogdon. Kuminga, nowhere near Malcolm Brogdon in any category. Same with RJ Hampton. Maybe Chuma Okeke. Oh, we got Michael Carter Williams. Michael Carter Williams defensively has some good numbers. 88 steal, 79 lateral quickness, which isn't bad for his size. 80 perimeter defense, 76 consistency, and 86 pass perception. So we might have to find a way in certain stretches of the game to give Michael Carter Williams some minutes at a small ball 3, small ball 4. Let him guard Ja Morant if need be. If Malcolm Brogdon gets in foul trouble situation, we know that we have a guy like Michael Carter Williams that can take on that role. Cole Anthony's not there defensively. Chuma Okeke, 86 steal, 83 lateral quickness, 84 perimeter defense, 85 defensive consistency, and he has 76 pass perception. And also Chuma Okeke is 6'8", 6'7". So yeah, man, I think we're gonna stick with Brogdon. Let me put Brogdon back on him, and then I'll show you Jonathan Isaac. He has a 95 block, 83 interior defense, 88 help defense. Pass perception and defense consistency is good, but they're showing his interior defense more than perimeter. So we're going to allow him to stay with Jaren Jackson. But the assignment for Ja Morant is going to start off with Malcolm Brogdon, and off the bench, we can do some looks with Chuma and Michael Carter Williams if need be. Dylan Brooks is obviously going to be guarded by Terry Rozier. I'm not going to give him the assignment because I don't want it to mean every time Terry Rozier is on the floor he needs to guard Dylan Brooks. That's what I learned about doing it like this in the coaching game plan. When you specifically put somebody on somebody, that means no matter who he's playing with on the floor in any situation, whenever Ja Morant and Malcolm Brogdon are on the floor together, he's going to guard Ja Morant. I don't really need that for Dylan Brooks. So if Brogdon gets into some type of foul trouble or in some stretch of the game, RJ Hampton and Terry Rozier on the court, I don't need Terry Rozier to just run at Dylan Brooks thinking that that's his assignment. So that's why I'm not going to do that. But I do need Jonathan Isaac to know that he's guarding the hell out of Jaren Jackson, which is going to be a fun, interesting matchup. With his block, his interior defense, his help defense IQ, Jonathan Isaac numbers, the lowest attribute he has is 83 interior defense. So 95 block is going to be good. And then, yeah, everything else will just line up. We'll just let it line up and do what it does. I don't really have a way I want to guard anything right now because I haven't really played them. So this first game, we're going to see how it goes before I make any coaching assignments and adjustments as far as how we're going to defend. Just let everything be standard and see how it goes, fill it out. Don't want to give them too much credit or don't want to be too lenient in certain areas. I want to see exactly what's going to happen in the first game. We'll make our adjustments and pay our prices with that. And I think that's really it, man. That's really it. That's how we're going to play it. First scoring option will still be Rozier and Brogdon. You know what I mean? We're going to try to get shooters open. Of course, we want to shoot the ball. Average tempo, though. Average tempo. We don't want to shoot at will and try to get too fast because it's the playoffs. We want to value each possession. We don't want to turn the ball over and give them any opportunity to get easy buckets. We want to get stops. We want to get feet in the paint to get to the line, get easy buckets inside the interior. And, I mean, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be a very, very tough fought first game for sure, and then I think with the adjustments and we see how things go, everything else will play out. Game 1 coming very soon. I'm about to play it now, so when this episode drops the very next day, you can expect game 1 of the 2021 NBA Finals against the Memphis Grizzlies. If we pull this out, I think I am officially the GOAT GM, but we will see you guys game 1. I'm out.